So the next section of propaganda, section 2, is timeliness. And this is the section. Maybe you can pause this video, open a new video, and then you can see everything and hear everything in the second video. But I want to hold it up, so I'm just going to read it best I can. Alright, so this section is about the timeliness of propaganda, I guess. One thing I realized from the propagandists' females is that, or even just watching that Tupac video, this Tupac MGTOW moments, and he said something about, like, until yesterday, before I became famous, I was just a nobody, and I would walk into clubs and I would get no attention. And then once I became a hit, then everywhere they're just like sex obsessed women throwing themselves at me. And then he's all wondering, like, I was the same guy, right? But I guess that speaks to the timeliness of propaganda. So propaganda in its explicit form must relate solely to what is timely. Because unfortunately these females don't know about the super stimulus out there. I mean, they do, but they don't. They do for themselves because they use the neoteny with their makeup. They make themselves look like babies artificially in order to have that super stimulus for the males to take care of them. But they don't realize the super stimulus that they are weak to. And propaganda has created a lot of super stimulus in today's day. So that Tupac video was just an example of that. Or like when one time a girl's interested in you and another time she's not. So that's another thing having to do with, because they're masters of propaganda, right? Because they're the proper gender. So anyway, propaganda in its explicit form must relate solely to what is timely. And the note says that the history of Soviet propaganda is full of such reminders of the necessity for a propaganda of timeliness, relating to practical problems, and it rejects vague and dogmatic propaganda. So I guess they learned from the Soviets, and that's why they were so crazy, rabid, propaganda-controlled, mind-controlled followers of Marxist doctrine, because their Soviet handlers, or the people, their communist handlers, are full of these, they know about the timeliness very well. So anyway, so relating to propaganda of timeliness is necessary. Also relating to practical problems is necessary, and rejecting vague and dogmatic propaganda is also necessary. Hence I had to suffer as a teacher and as a public speaking leader. But anyway, for example, public acceptance must be obtained for new work norms, salary reforms, and so on. So if you don't kiss the ass of the public, you don't last in the propaganda department. Man can be captured and mobilized only if there is consonance between his own deep social beliefs and those underlying the propaganda directed at him. So there cannot be any cognitive dissonance. And that's what the info warriors know. And that's why they call them sheeple, because they get frustrated trying to use logic and reason when they're attacking something very much at the core and at the subconscious level, unconscious level. Not just subconscious. So man can be captured and mobilized only if there is consonance between his own deep social beliefs and those underlying the propaganda directed at him. And that's one reason to be dispassionate towards foreign ideas and concepts, because if you just rely on the connaissance, then you can be conned. So he will be aroused and moved to action only if the propaganda pushes him toward a timely action. So hence, well, this is a reality, because like I was just thinking, instead of listening to YouTube dudes talking about red pill stuff, and it's better to just like watch some National um, Geographic documentary, because that shit is scientific, and it allows you to think for yourself. Like I was watching a thing about the mating dances and shit of some tribe, and it just to see that in their daily lifestyle, how their daily lifestyle looks like, that can maybe give us some solutions to heal in our modern concrete jungle. So these two elements of the consonance between the beliefs and the propaganda, and the timeliness of making him act, are not contradictory, but they are complementary. For the only interesting and enticing news is that which presents a timely, spectacular aspect of society's profound reality. Okay, so timely, spectacular aspect of society's profound reality. So that's what this news is all about, they're saying. That's the most interesting news. So it has to be timely. A man will become excited over a new automobile because it is immediate evidence of his deep belief and progress in technology. So the deep beliefs, the myths of progress in technology, make him excited. So everybody has these deep beliefs which make us desire certain things over others, and program, not just beliefs but also conditioning and programming based on our experiences. But yeah, so like if you have dissociated yourself from enough of society's beliefs, and you're not naturally, or you haven't been born with the talent of acting, so that can put you in a very dangerous situation, and you can be locked up for in a mental asylum or something, because of your actions will be unexplainable to the masses. They'll just seem crazy because the fundamental beliefs are not present in your argument or in the logic behind the action. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Between news that can be utilized by propaganda and fundamental currents of society, the same relationship exists as between waves and the sea. The waves exist not only because, so you're saying the fundamental currents are the sea and the news is the waves. So the waves only exist because the underlying mass supports them. So that's all the money from China, I guess, today, funding all the news stations. Those are the communist waves from the underlying mass of the communist propagandists. Without it, there would be nothing. But man sees only the waves. They are what attracts, entices, and fascinates him. Attracts, entices, and fascinates. Through them he grasps the grandeur and majesty of the sea, though this grandeur exists only in the immense mass of water. Similarly, propaganda can have solid reality and power over man only because of its rapport with fundamental currents. But it has seductive excitement and a capacity to move him only by its ties to the most volatile immediacy. So between news and currents and the waves in the sea. So propaganda can have solid reality and power over man only because of its rapport with fundamental currents. But it has seductive excitement and a capacity to move him only by its ties, the ties of propaganda, to the most volatile immediacy. So that's why when people criticize the news, they say, like, why does it always have to be so extreme, graphic, Because it has to, and then we also see how all these graphic and violent things are powerful, triggers in our brain. Unconscious psychological effects are being done to our brain. So it's like, um, it's the same concept of the waves in the sea, I guess. So between news and the fundamental currents of society. So that's an example. And the timely event that man considers worth retaining, preserving, and disseminating is always an event related to the expression of the myths and presuppositions of a given time and place. Okay, right? So, like, we have coronavirus. It's a myth relating to the presuppositions of a given time and place that, society should be about saving everybody from any possible pain or discomfort or bad, as if that's possible. Because if you save people from one bad, then you have introduced another bad. But that's the underlying myth, so it has to be followed at all times. And same with it's a progress, basically, the progress of science over safety and human immortality, I guess, because oh my God, we cannot have 1.01% that somebody will die, or that 2% that somebody might catch the virus in public, and then that, the reducing percentages are used like they're so big because science has conquered everything, so they claim. So it's like now we got to get that last 2% and not let them have any disease, even though it's natural to have, flu once in a while and shit. But anyway, so that's a fundamental belief, and I don't know what else. Oh, another fundamental belief is that the government is there to keep us safe and provide solutions to crisis issues. They're the only ones who can protect us from these kind of threats that we don't know anything or can't do anything about, that are beyond our control as individuals. So that's another thing, that government's there to serve the people. That's another myth that is played upon in the coronavirus season. Myth, news, and fundamental currents. Besides, the public is sensitive only to contemporary events. They'll pass the camel on the right hand side. Pass the camel on the right hand side. It'll one. It not go out. Oh no. Pass the mental on the left hand side. Pass the mental on the left hand side. It'll go cool. Oh, it gonna feel smooth. Jano. Alright. They alone concern and challenge it. Obviously, propaganda can succeed only when man feels challenged. Hence the female baby mama terrorists and so forth. It can have no influence when the individual is stabilized, relaxing in his slippers in the midst of total security. Hence, prostitution never legalized in the United States. Cannot let the individual be stabilized, relaxing in his slippers. because then the Jezebels will have no security, and only they deserve security. Neither past events nor great metaphysical problems challenge the average individual. Neither past events nor great metaphysical problems challenge the average individual, the ordinary man of our times. He is not sensitive to what is tragic in life. He is not anguished by a question that God might put to him.